Awesome.
Ready.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar training for the Ohio Business Matchmaker webinar training series. We are excited that you've joined us this morning. My name is Shonda Harris, and I will be facilitating today's webinar session. Today, we will be focusing on preparing for success in government contracting. So either if you are currently in government contracting or looking to expand and do business with another government entity, or if you're new to government contracting, you are definitely in the right place. We are excited that you've joined us as we continue our efforts to support our local small businesses to help them navigate in succeeding in the government contracting fields. Now, for those of you that may be new to our program or to our webinar series, the Ohio Business Matchmaker is a very vital event that is designed to help connect Ohio small businesses with government agencies and prime contractors for the sole purpose of helping to foster opportunities for growth and collaboration. So we provide this training and networking events and direct access to procurement opportunities to help you succeed and be competitive in the government landscape, government contracting landscape. So this training is designed to help provide you with valuable insight, some keys and tools and effective strategies so that you can engage with lenders and buyers. And some of you may be asking, well, when is this Ohio Business Matchmaker going to take place? I'm so glad that you asked. It will be held this year, April 23rd and 24th, down in Dayton at the Wright State Nutter Center. So all of our webinars are just a precursor to help prepare you leading up to the matchmaker. Before we get into introducing our speaker, we do want to take time to allow one of our resource partners and one of the collaborators for this actual training series and for the matchmaker event to give you a little bit more information about what they do. And then also, if you're new to government contracting, a resource that could potentially help you get started in government contracting on your journey. So I do want to introduce Mr. Joey Scott, who is the statewide director for the Ohio Apex Accelerator, and want to give him an opportunity to give an overview about the Ohio Apex Accelerator, who they are and what they do. Joey?
Thank you so much, Shonda. Really appreciate the introduction. And as you heard, I'm Joey Scott. I'm the statewide director for our Ohio Apex Accelerator program. And we partner with a lot of great people all throughout Ohio, like Shonda and the SBA team. Our counterparts with the Small Business Development Center, Manufacturing Extension Partnerships. We really are just one big ecosystem designed to help all of you. So point of that is we're really appreciative to be working with all other partners on the Ohio Business Matchmaker. So hopefully everybody is at least heard of Apex Accelerators before, but if not, that's okay. We are funded in part by the Department of Defense and State of Ohio to assist businesses with all things government contracting. I like to tell people that our services fall into three buckets. So if you've heard me talk before, this will be a refresher, but it's really helping companies become procurement ready, helping them experience that procurement success, and then the catch-all of staying in the government marketplace. So becoming procurement ready, it's all about positioning yourself for success so we can help you through entity registrations. If you're trying to sell to the federal government, you want to be registered in the System for Award Management. If you're selling to the state of Ohio, you want to be registered as a supplier in Ohio Buys, and et cetera, at all other states and local levels. So we can help you navigate those entity registrations. Help you look at business certifications if they are applicable to your business or if they would benefit you in any way. We can help you develop a capability statement and help you look at opportunities and understanding agency buying history and habits and everything else. And all of that is also important to prepare yourself for the Ohio Business Matchmaker. Because if there's an agency that you want to meet with, you want to make sure that you are eligible to do business with them, that you've had all your registrations taken care of, and that you understand how the agency is buying what they need and looking at current opportunities as well. So we can help with all of that. We also have our daily bid match software that we can set you up with a free bid search service that would bring opportunities to your inbox each morning. So the second bucket, procurement success. Once you've found an opportunity, we can review it with you and we can review your proposal. The only thing we cannot do is write it for you. We are not an agent of your company, but we can review it and critique it to make sure that your proposal is as competitive as possible before you submit. We can also help you understand and navigate contract clauses and federal regulations and state regulations and all that fun stuff. And then talk strategy. How do you leverage one win into multiple wins? So we can help with that as well. And then the catch-all, helping you through maintaining compliance and maintaining your position in the government marketplace, from simple things such as helping you through the annual SAM renewal process and just raising awareness that you do need to renew your SAM registration every year. To more complex things, such as cybersecurity requirements. If you're a defense contractor, the cybersecurity maturity model is something that's going to be very important to you. And luckily, we'll actually have a webinar later in this series talking about that. We can also help companies look at innovation opportunities through the Small Business Innovation Research Program and just helping you connect with other government customers. We are asked to raise awareness for a lot of important subjects, such as foreign ownership, control, and influence, cybersecurity, innovation, and some of the niche programs within the DoD, Department of Defense. But through all of it, we are here to serve one mission, and that is to help you. In Ohio, we have an innovative approach. We've developed an Ohio procurement internship program. We're currently in the third year, and company applications just closed at the beginning of this week. But this program is designed to train college students on all things government contracting, and then they apply that knowledge in a summer internship with Apex clients. And so the companies are incentivized through partial reimbursement of the intern wages, and you're also getting a qualified intern working 40 hours a week for 12 weeks that you can leverage to move the needle within your own procurement journey. We also have a cybersecurity program that we will touch on in a few weeks with the cybersecurity webinar. And then finally, here is just a roadmap to show how we are connected and able to assist you throughout the entire procurement process. So we are here every step of the way to assist. So if you're not familiar with your local counselor, please reach out to me. Happy to make that introduction and get you connected with our team. We're very proud of our clients, and so always like to highlight their success. Last year, our clients won over $1.6 billion, and most of that was prime federal work, and so very, very proud of our clients. And last but not least, just like to highlight that there is an Apex Accelerator near you. So wherever you are in Ohio, or even if you're outside of Ohio, there are Apex Accelerator locations all across the country. So please do not hesitate to reach out, and we'll get you connected with your local counselor. So with that, I will thank you for your time and turn it back over to Shonda.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joey. We are definitely grateful for the partnership and the ability to work with the Apex counselors. And as Joey said, Ohio has a great ecosystem of resource partners. And so whatever your business need may be, there is a resource partner to help you. So if you are, when you hear something today during the presentation, something you may not know, something you need assistance with, please reach out to your local Apex Accelerator because they are there at every phase and every facet of your government contracting journey. So we do have you covered. And with that said, today's presentation, again, we are focusing on preparing for success in government contracting. And that could be at the federal level, the state level, the city level, the county level. The Apex Accelerator is a great resource to help you at any dealing with any government entity. And today's presentation is going to kind of focus on subcontracting, a little about RFPs, requests for proposals, RFIs, requests for information, sources sought notifications. So we are grateful to have a wonderful presenter who brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise in this area, Ms. Jane Stewart, who serves as the Associate Director of the Ohio Apex Accelerator at Ohio University. She's located up in the Cleveland area up north. And so she will help you navigate learning how to prepare to be a successful contractor in the government space. Before I turn it over to Jane, a couple housekeeping items. Today's webinar is being recorded. So the recording link will be posted on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website where you went to register. And then also a link for the slides will be available as well. So if you go up in the right-hand corner where you went to register for the webinars, under each webinar, there's a link for the recording, and then there's also a link for you to access the presentation. Also, if you do have any questions while the presenter is sharing, go ahead and put those in the chat. I can already see somebody does have a question in there. That's great. Go ahead and put those in there, and probably at the end of each section or the good break or stopping point for Jane, I'll pose those questions for her to ask. And I believe that is it. So thank you so much, Joey. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Miss Jane Stewart. Jane, take it away.
Thank you so much, Shonda. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Whoops, sorry. Okay, share this screen with you. All right, so we're going to talk about preparing for success in the government marketplace. I'm going to cover government contracting basics, requests for information, request for proposal, sources sought notification, subcontracting, and teaming arrangements.
Jane,
Yes.
can you put your screen on full slide without the showing the next slide in the notes? Can you on full?
Let me reshare, okay?
Okay.
My apologies.
No worries. And while Jane's doing that, I see that Joey has answered a question in the chat. But if you do need a link for the Ohio Business Matchmaker to register for the event, to access the recording link, it is in the chat. So you can check out the chat for that. And let's see. All right. And
How's that?
there we go. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
My
Thank you.
apologies.
No, thank you.
Goodness, technology. Okay. So the basics of getting into the federal government or any government marketplace. Here are a few things that you need to think about and assess if you're ready. Okay, so analyze the strengths and weaknesses of your business. It is really important that you have good financial resources. Getting $1 million contract anybody would love that. It would be a wonderful thing, if you have the financial resources to support that contract until payment can be made. Especially the federal government is very good about timely payments if you submit a correct invoice. But until that invoice is paid, you have to be able to support the contract. Do you have adequate staffing? Do you understand the government procurement process? Have you identified your target market? It's important to have a strategic plan in place and to know who your customer is. Is it the Navy? Is it the Department of Interior? You need to do that initial research to understand or to identify who buys what you have to offer. Do you have the necessary certifications and registrations? The most important registration on a federal level is SINGM, the System for Award Management. SAM provides you with a UEI, a unique entity identifier, and a CAGE code. If you don't have those, you won't be able to participate in government contracting on a federal level. Building relationships. Networking is absolutely vital to government contracting or any type of business, really. You need to make sure that you understand all of the solicitation documents. Create quality and responsive proposals. Develop past performance. Past performance doesn't just have to be in the government, it can be in the commercial world as well. You need to make sure that you understand the regulations that are involved. And you have to be willing to make the commitment. Contracting, like any other part of business, it is not a sprint, it is a long haul race.
Jane,
Yes.
we do have a question from that slide.
Okay.
Terry Sharp wants to know, you spoke or you mentioned about having funds available to cover expenses until you get paid by the government. Do contracts offer 90-day pre-approval spending from the award date, or the same as a grant? Or are you just saying month-to-month expenses that the business needs to cover until you're reimbursed?
Depending on the type of contract and how the billing process is negotiated or defined, you need to be able to cover all of your expenses. So if you were a manufacturer, you need to be able to buy the material, manufacture the product, deliver it, and when you deliver, that's when you can invoice. And generally speaking, the federal government pays within 30 days of receiving the invoice. Does that answer your question?
And while we're waiting for him to respond, there is another question. I put it in the chat, but I think it's better. Let me pose it so that everyone is aware. And maybe you can also explain, what is the System for Award Management, SAM, and what is the website for SAM?
The System for Award Management is the absolute primary requirement for all things government contracting. The website is sam.gov. And actually, at the end, if we have a few minutes, I wanted to take you to the SAM website so you can see exactly what it is. The SAM is the website where you register, and solicitations are posted that are over $25,000. Every agency is required to put their procurement opportunities on SAM over that 25,000 threshold.
Great. And we do have some more questions. Terry that asked about having enough funds to cover a contract. She was speaking more on services. So if their company offered services,
Well, usually in the solicitation or in the award, it'll lay out how frequently you can invoice. I mean, obviously for a long-term contract, you can't wait a year to get paid. Generally, you're going to be able to invoice on a monthly basis or whatever the award document defines.
Terry, did that answer your question? If you can just go ahead and put that in the chat. And we should have enough time, Jane, at the end. I think that would be a great way to do a demonstration and show the SAM website.
Okay. Remind
Okay.
me if I forget.
Okay, let me put that note to self. All right, I think that's it for now. Yes, hang on. Miss Terry said yes. I'm assuming no prior approval is needed for spending from the contract side of business.
Well,
Jane, we
what?
can't hear. What'd you say?
No prior approval. Well, you can only invoice for what you proposed in the contract. And there are very specific rules about what are allowable and unallowable expenses. So everything should be very detailed in the solicitation and then the award document as to what is reimbursable and what isn't. It just depends on the type of contract. Okay.
I think my question can be answered in person by my Apex accelerator. Okay, no, thank you, Terry, for asking. And yeah, you could get further clarity by talking to an Apex counselor. No worries.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
I think that's it for now. Thanks.
Okay, so moving forward, I want to talk about the different types of solicitation documents that the government will put out. An RFI, request for information. This is used by the government buyer to collect information about products, services, or suppliers. It is not an intent to make the purchase. It is just gathering information to help them define exactly what it is they want to purchase. RFIs do not always result in an actual open solicitation, but it's a good way to get your information into the various government agencies. On a federal level, those will be posted on sam.gov. State, for the state of Ohio, here is ProcureOhio.gov. And then many local cities, counties will also have RFIs, and it's too many to list. But this website has a listing of all the various city and county governments procurement websites. Okay, so request for proposal, RFP. An RFP is a full and open on the street solicitation. These are used to obtain offers from potential vendors for goods and services. The RFP will identify the project requirements and what they expect to be delivered. The RFP will include very specific instructions on how to submit your proposal and what needs to be included in the proposal. In Section L of most, if not all, RFPs is where the instructions will be found. The proposal can include what your solution, your approach, your experience level, and various also your pricing. So it's important that you pay particular attention to Section L to get the instructions on exactly how to prepare and submit your offer. Evaluation factors for award are located in Section M of an RFP. The evaluation factors can include past performance, pricing structure, the approach. It can include various things. And the reason it's so important to pay particular attention to Section M is that will help you to prepare your offer, knowing what is most important to that contracting officer will give you a much better chance. Okay, so request for quotes. Those are usually smaller projects and they want a price. The RFQ, whether it's for a product or service, it is very specific and well defined in the RFQ. Often, but not always, they are awarded based on lowest acceptable bid. Now, lowest acceptable bid does not mean necessarily the lowest price, but the lowest acceptable bid can also include your shipping terms and other factors. So it's really important, again, follow the instructions on how to submit your bid. So here's just a little review. An RFI, request for more information. The RFQ is a request for the price of a very specialized solution, or an RFQ, excuse me, is simply requesting a price for a product or service. And then the RFP is requesting a full-blown proposal for a project. I want to point out sources sought notifications. These are really, really important in determining if a contract can be set aside for a small business. Not only a small business, but also service disabled veteran, woman-owned, hub zone, 8A. Those are the various SBA certifications. All agencies are required to identify contracts set aside for small businesses, 23%. And then within that 23%, 5% for 8A, 5% hub zone. Shonda, I'm messing these up, aren't I? 3% service disabled veteran owned and 3% hub zone.
You forgot woman owned.
Oh,
5%.
3%. Okay, 3% woman owned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think it's 5% woman owned.
5% woman owned. So in a sources sought notice is the market research that a government buyer will post, looking for information about what companies are available that could perform the work. So they have to determine that there are 2 or more capable businesses. And unfortunately, many of the sources sought notifications nobody responds to them. And in that case, they're going to be full and open to large businesses as well as small businesses. So I think it's in a small business's best interest to really seek out the sources sought notices. So some considerations for small businesses getting into government contracting. You can be a prime contractor. The prime contractor works directly with the government, and the entire project is on you as the prime. You're responsible for ensuring that the work is completed, and you're managing any subcontractors. If a small business maybe isn't ready to become a prime contractor, you can become a subcontractor. The subcontractor will perform part of the contract and answers to the prime, not to the government. There are also contractor teaming arrangements. That's when 2 companies can form a team to offer a complete solution. There's joint ventures. A joint venture is a new entity created for a specific number of contracts or a period of time. The SBA can be a great resource in helping you with putting together a joint venture and a contractor teaming arrangement. For large businesses, a federal contract that exceeds $750,000 or $1.5 million for construction must have a small business subcontracting plan. And that includes, just like on a federal level, the 23% for small business, and then the other goals for veteran, woman, HUBZone 8A. The prime contractor needs to include a plan for including those businesses in the performance of this contract. The market research that I encourage everyone to do in finding what companies have been awarded contracts that include similar products or services that you offer, that can be a good way to locate the prime contractors. It's always a good idea to start marketing to those primes in advance of the next opportunity coming up. So here's a little layout. If you're interested in subcontracting, it can provide more opportunities. And especially important is past performance. Every government contract, especially for services, includes a requirement for past performance. The government buyer wants to know that you can perform what they need and that you have done it in the past successfully and at the volume that the government requires. It can help you to increase your experience, and sometimes it can be a faster way to enter the the government marketplace. Not all primes are large businesses. That is important to note. Even any small business can be a prime contractor. So a teaming agreement leverages the strengths and capabilities of the partners. It's relatively quick and easy to set up, and the partners can all be small businesses. No one business can do everything. So by one or two or more small businesses joining together can be a good way to provide a complete solution. A joint venture is each party contributes capital and assets, expenses are shared, collective past performance. So maybe one partner doesn't have all the past performance in one area, but the other one does. The past performance of both companies are considered. And you have to follow the SBA requirements, and you have to register a joint venture as a brand new business. Risk assessment is something the government is always working on. They want to mitigate risk as much as possible. So, and the small business also needs to consider risk assessment. As a subcontractor, unfortunately, you have to be cautious of providing information to the prime and for their proposal, and then unfortunately not actually be given the work. Payment can be an issue. The primes don't always pay as quickly as the government does. And it's important to note that the FAR clauses, the Federal Acquisition Regulations, they flow down to all of the subcontractors. Joey mentioned CMMC requirements, the Cybersecurity and Maturity Model Certification. If the prime contract requires it, then the subcontractors also will be required. As a prime contractor, the contract performance is dependent on your subcontractor's performance. You're responsible as the prime contractor, you're responsible for the entire contract performance. So when you're thinking about becoming a subcontractor or a teaming arrangement or a joint venture, think about what can you bring to the table? I want that chocolate cupcake, but so what product or service does the prime require? What problem can you solve? How can you assist with contract performance? These are all things that will get you noticed by the prime. And the dessert of becoming a subcontractor are your socioeconomic certifications. The important part is what you bring to the table, how you can help the prime, and then, oh, by the way, I can also help the prime meet their small business subcontracting goals. So where do you find that table? Research, research, research. You have to identify your target market. There are many, many websites that are out there that you can access for free, that will give you the market intel that you need to find out who buys what you have to offer, what agencies, and who is getting the contract. Matchmakers are a great way to meet all the players. Many agencies will have industry days, pre-proposal, pre-bid conferences or events, bidders tours, site visits. Even if you're not really interested in a particular opportunity at this time, going to those pre-bid meetings can be a very good way to just start meeting people, meeting the primes, meeting other small businesses. Get out there, meet people. Have a really good capability statement and put on your best suit and tie. So here are some of the resources that you can go to do that market research. A good one is USA Spending. SAM will also includes the award information. Now, those are only on the federal level. On a state level, you can go to Ohio Buys and the Ohio Checkbook. For local, it's here are 3 of our big cities here in Ohio. There's tons more websites that you can visit on a local level, and your local apex can help you do that type of research and point you in the right direction. So marketing. You reach out to potential contacts. Make a direct marketing plan. Reach out to the agencies and primes that based on your research are interested in what you have to offer. Every government agency has a small business specialist. Real easy to locate those folks. In fact, just Google NASA Glenn small business and you will find Eunice Sip Adams. Contact Eunice. Send her an introductory email along with your capability statement. Many of the large prime contractors have small business liaisons. Reach out. There are agency prime contractor directories. DHS or Department of Human Services, Army Corps of Engineers, the Department of Defense. They all maintain directories. SBA has Subnet, and GSA, the General Services Administration, also has a subcontracting directory. But before you reach out, do your homework. Do you have the proper vendor registrations? Many of the prime contractors have a small business registration. You want to be able to have that done before you reach out. You never want to reach out to an agency or a prime and say, how do I do work with you? You want to be able to say, I've registered in the database. I provide these products and services that I know you require. Okay. So homework, research is vital. You don't want to waste the buyer's time And you definitely don't want to waste your time marketing to an organization that doesn't buy what you have to offer. So, some best practices in responding to solicitations: read and understand the solicitation document. You have to have a clear understanding of the statement of work, pricing and billing procedures. How are delays or change orders handled? What are your reporting requirements? What contract regulations do you need to comply? If you need help, there are attorneys that specialize in government contracting. Your local Apex can assist you with many, many things, but at least here in Ohio, none of us are attorneys. Here's a list of local resources. You can go to the Ohio Apex Accelerator website and find the office that is closest to you. The Small Business Development Center, SBDC. They are a wealth of information, especially if you need help with setting up your business, and some of those business basics, developing a a business plan, or if you need help with financials, things like that. Service Corps of Retired Executives, SCORE. These are wonderful folks that come from all types of businesses and all types of backgrounds who donate their time to help small businesses with their business. The Minority Business Assistance Center, MBAC. MBAC, if you're interested in Ohio minority business certification, you go to the MBAC. They are the best. And my favorite, the Small Business Administration. They have loan programs and all types, and they manage the certification programs. And SBA is wonderful. So I guess Joey kind of went through these, but just as a recap, we can help with federal, state, and local government procurement. We can assist with certifications, registrations, capability statements, our bid matching. We can help with responding to solicitations. We can help you come up with a marketing plan. And other topics, such as if you're interested in a GSA schedule, CMMC, SBIR, if it is related to government contracting, we can help. And the best part is there are no fees for any of the services that we provide. You can't beat our price. Okay, so that's what I have. Any questions, Shonda?
Yes, well, I was answering Dan's question. Yes, Dan, a copy of the slides will be uploaded to the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. I'm putting that in the chat. If anybody else has any questions, and while I'm giving everybody a chance to do that, Jane, could you, because I knew we have plenty of time, if you could kind of do a demo for Sam, go
That's
to
what
that
I was.
website, USA Spending, Ohio Buys, the
Yes.
Ohio Checkbook, and I don't know if I've seen the GSA Subcontracting directory. I didn't know, but yeah, if you can do that, and then that would Yeah, we have plenty enough time, but that would be great so everybody could see that. And then in the meantime, if you do have additional questions, go ahead and put those in the chat, and Jane will show us these websites as she brings them up. If you do have questions, we have a whole nother hour. So that was great, Jane, webinar registration.
Can you see Sam?
Yes.
Okay. So here's Sam, sam.gov. If you do not see these graphics, you're at the wrong website. SAM is absolutely free. There are no fees for getting registered. If you're at a website and they want you to pay money, you're at the wrong website. So I'm going to go ahead and get signed in. So the first step is create an account. If you don't already have an account, you're going to create one. And then every time that you sign in, you will be they utilize a two-factor authentication. So you sign in with your username and password, and then you will be sent a 6-digit code. The best way is to have it go to your cell phone in a text. Okay, so if you need to register in SAM, then you're going to come down here and add new entity. So the first step is you're going to enter your company information, and you'll be assigned the Unique Entity Identifier, UEI. Then once the UEI is processed, then you're going to continue the registration to obtain your CAGE code. The CAGE code is a 5-digit alphanumeric code that identifies your company to the government. The SAM registration is a 1-year, it's valid for 1 year, and then you have to go in and update annually. Once you have a CAGE code and a UEI, those 2 codes are yours for the life of your business. Some of the things that are required for the registration, you need your tax ID number, you need your checking account, routing number, and account number. The reason they want the financial is most often the government will pay via electronic funds transfer. And if you have, they already have your information, they'll know how to pay you. Payment is a good thing. Okay, so if you have any trouble with the registration, please do not hesitate to contact your local Apex. We can help you get through this in nothing flat.
Jane,
Yes.
can I add, I know I was working with someone who called the office for a certification. They were interested in getting their FDVOSB certification. They started their SAM registration, and I didn't know this, and he received his UEI, but he didn't complete his registration. He didn't have his CAGE code. So you do want to make sure you go through the entire SAM registration, and you get both your UEI And
Yes,
then once that's assigned, then it'll go to the IRS for verification, then it'll go to DLA. But you have to wait for DLA to get back with you to give you your cage code. And
yes,
then they'll send that to you. But you will need both if you are going after a federal certification. So make sure that you go through the entire SAM registration. And I think when you get to the very end, is this still the same, Jane? You'll get an email that says, congratulations, you finished,
yes,
your SAM registration. And then you'll have to wait and they'll email you to say, okay, this is complete. I think they'll do a verification with
right,
the IRS, then they'll send you your UEI, then it'll get sent to DLA, and
right,
then you have to wait and so make sure you go through the entire thing. But as
yes.
Jane was saying, Apex can definitely help you because sometimes it can get a little frustrating and a little,
Get a little bit hairy.
yes, it can.
Oh, before you even start, you cannot have a virtual address. You have to have a physical address for your business. You can't use one of those UPS mailboxes. You have to have a physical address. And your Secretary of State documents need to match the address and that you enter into SAM. That is very important. If they don't match, if you have moved and you never updated your Secretary of State document, you can go to the Secretary of State website. You can do an update for about, I think it's $25. And again, if you need any help with that, we can walk you through it. Okay.
This is a great question, Jane, and this happens all the time, quite frequently.
Uh-oh.
Terry wants to know, I received many emails from several days from other businesses that are offering for a
Yeah.
high fee
Yes.
sessions on helping small businesses in the current administration environment. And it has termination of federal contractors. What contractors need to know now, how small businesses can win in the current contract environment. These are all the things that I guess this small business is asking. Under the new administration, can Apex offer any upcoming webinars on these topics? As we are all nervous about what is going on, can you address this in a webinar versus having to pay any organization for this information?
Well, I would not pay. Well, personally, I would not pay for that information. In this ever-changing environment, reliable information is coming out slowly. I'm really not quite sure how to answer this. I think that type of information really is best coming from our statewide manager, Joey Scott. He's the one who gets the information directly from our national organization. Joey, I think this is one for you, to be quite honest with you.
Up in here. So, yes, there are plenty of YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, whatever. There's a lot of clickbait stuff out there that is, causing asking for an urgent reaction or something. It's companies out there trying to build a business themselves. So they're going to charge lots of fees. This has been around as long as free commerce has ever existed. So it's really nothing new. For the topics that they're addressing, the process for government contracting is stands the test of time. So regardless of what's going on in the political realm or what you hear on the news and all that, the federal and state and local acquisition process is still the process itself. It is written in the statute. There are rules and regulations that every agency has to follow. And so really, it's a business decision always on what information, what resources, what education you want to pursue. However, I would strongly urge you to, reach out to your local resources, Apex Accelerator, Small Business Development Center, et cetera, to, talk through some of this stuff. There are, free webinars and other resources out there that cover the same information. It's just phrased differently. So unfortunately, you're going to get a lot of unsolicited information and requests if you're registered in SAM, if you have a business period. It's just reality. But as far as, the change in administration, every 4 years we go through a different administration. Whether it changes or not, the individuals still change. The process is still the same. So I would strongly urge you to, conduct your own research. If something is a smart business decision, that is your decision to make as a business owner. However, we are resources here to assist you and help guide you as best as we can. And if we learn more about news or changes to the government regulations, we push that out to our clients as soon as we hear it. So we do our best to keep our clients informed. Again, this has come up before. There's a lot of clickbait out there. That's the term for it. It's, a fancy title to cause you to click on it and learn more and pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They've got a business model themselves. We are your resource and ally. So please reach out to your counselor with questions, do your research, and that's really the best advice I can give you on that front.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, Joey, what Joey said at the end of the day and what Jane said, it is a business decision if you want to use these organizations. But as Joey was saying, it's just another way for them to generate revenue for their business. What I would encourage you to do, and again, it's a business decision. If you have a question, and a lot of times these things are put out there, and especially in the current climate that we're in, different things going on, so much going on, to incite, questions and sometimes fear, like, oh, I don't want to, do something wrong. I don't want to make sure I'm covered. Reach out to your Apex Accelerator, absolutely free. Yeah. If you are going to these companies, these businesses, you're going to have to pay a fee. So at the end of the day, I would definitely recommend that you reach out to Apex Accelerator, find out, hey, am I in trouble? Do I need, ask them the questions instead of reaching out to these companies. You don't have to worry about paying anything. But again, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. Whatever you decide works best for you. But if you use Apex, there's no fee that's involved. So, and we do have another question. If you want to add to that, Jane, and we do have another question.
Okay. I just wanted to say I just wanted to reiterate what Joey said. Contracting practices are code. I mean, they are in the federal acquisition regulations, and those cannot be changed at the sign of a pen. There is a very lengthy congressional process that has to take place. So yeah, don't get too caught up in the news.
Janine, if I may jump in here, I saw Terry added something. So to your question, are they clickbait or not? I'm making an assumption based on your question earlier. Please do your research. Look at the source. Is it credible? Where is it coming from? Is the organization reputable on who's putting it out there? I'm painting a very broad brush here with the emphasis on do your research, utilize your available resources. I can't, without knowing the specific forum or whatever, I can't say for certain. Could it be, valuable? Possibly. But again, that's a business decision. Do your research, utilize your available resources, and go from there. So I just wanted to clarify that.
And there is another question from Don Crew.
Okay.
Wondering if these local agencies require any length of time in business to be able to apply for services with them, particularly, I believe you mean the MBE, not MBA, Don. The MBE is
The
a state
Ohio,
certification
yeah,
or
the Ohio,
city certification with the city of Columbus.
many of the certifications do have a minimum amount of time to be in business before you can become certified. The state of Ohio MBE certification requires 2 years in business.
I think it's just one. With the state MBE is I think is 1 year.
Oh, okay. My
Business.
apologies.
Mhm.
Okay, so Sam. Okay, so that's a quick overview of getting your SAM registration completed and submitted. The other thing that is available on SAM, if you go up here and click on search, there are various data sets that you can search. So I'm going to select contracting. And over here, there's a plethora of criteria that you can search by. So one that I always like to point out is notice type. Here's where you can do research on sources sought, pre-solicitation notices, solicitations, and award notice. So if you click on sources sought and just have active selected, these are all of the current sources sought notices that are open, and there are only 4,000 of them. If you click on the title, it will bring up some information about the notice. They're looking for IV polls, the product service code is identified, the NAICS code is identified. The NAICS code, if you're not already familiar, the NAICS code is the North American Industrial Classification Code. Those are the codes that identify the type of business you are. The product service code identifies the specific category of product or service that you offer. So in the description, it will give you a bit of information on what they're looking for. And remember, this is not a solicitation. It is simply market research. And then somewhere in here, it will tell you exactly what they want you to submit. Most often, they want, some background of your company. How long have you been in business? What type of business experience do you have? They're all different. So it's important to read all of the information and determine if this is something that you could be interested in. And make sure that you submit your information before the deadline. I always encourage folks, don't wait until the last minute. Have it ready in advance of the actual due date.
Jane, great demo. So glad you're going through this and showing. Catherine Conroy has a question.
Okay.
Does in business mean established or operating with revenue?
Well, what? That's a hard question.
Yeah, I guess.
Ideally, operating and generating income.
Yeah,
If you're,
I would agree. Yeah, and I guess it depends on what, like if you were going after a certification, because some companies can start a business where you register it with the state of Ohio, you set up your EIN, you get everything set up, but you basically put it on the shelf. The business is not generating any revenue and it just exists. But if you are going after certifications, if you are planning to jump into doing government contracting, you probably should have some type of revenue. And especially if you are going after certifications, some of them do require that you have. Some of them don't at the federal level, but you probably want to be in business, generating revenue and operating.
I think it's really difficult to get a government contract if you're in business in name only. I always encourage people to get your business going, get it established, start in the commercial world and work your way up. Look for local opportunity before you go after the federal market. Again, you have to have the financial resources to support a contract until you can get paid. Some solicitations require you to submit a profit loss statement with your offer. It all depends on what the opportunity is and what the requirements of the solicitation are. Okay.
She said, thank you. Yep, okay. Thank you.
So the other thing that you can identify is open opportunities. So let's go to solicitation. And here are all of the current open solicitations, and there are only 7,700 of them. That's a lot. Towable charcoal grill. Now that's interesting. So obviously nobody can effectively go through all of these. So you want to add other criteria. You can add the federal organization. You can include the product service code or the NAICS code. If you can only work in the state of Ohio, you can limit it to just Ohio. So that brings it down to only 53. So janitorial projects, they're looking massage therapy. Okay, there you go. As you can see, everything, the government buys everything from event. They want the National Guard wants to plan an event, to graphite, to meals. I mean, just everything is here. you can click on the title and it will pull up all the information that has been posted to this point. And go from there. Again, read everything. Oh, I know what I wanted to point out. Let me select a different one. Okay, so oftentimes amendments will be posted. The amendments can be, changes in whatever. Q&A. Oftentimes there's a Q&A period. If you have the question, probably other people have the question. So always make sure that you look for Q&A. Performance work statement, technical proposal, there's a map. There's lots of information in here. Now, before you submit a bid, you always want to check to make sure that there are no new amendments since you last checked. And when you register, you can, and you're going after a particular opportunity, you can follow that opportunity. So you'll receive a notice if any amendments or anything else has been posted. Okay. I wanted to point out amendment, attachment. I wanted to point out section L and M in a solicitation. And those.
And Jane, just to confirm, this is for federal solicitations, correct? Not state or local.
Right.
Okay.
So section L are the instructions, conditions, and notices to offer. Here is where everything that you need to know will be listed for you to have a complete, responsive, responsible offer. And then the evaluation factors are in section M. And they go into great detail about how they're going to evaluate proposals.
Jane, Brandon Turner has a question.
Okay.
Will our Apex counselor be able to double check if he correctly filled out the information correctly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can review your offer before you submit it. We can't write anything for you, like Joey mentioned. But yes, we can absolutely review it and offer any suggestions. The only thing is, please don't ask us to review a solicitation when it's due that day. We need a little bit more time. So you can also click on award notice. And this fire department air duct cleaning in Youngstown Warren Airport was awarded to Dobson Family Partnership. You cannot access their proposal, but you can find out how much the award was. So you'd have to go through. Okay. $33,000 for air duct cleaning. Okay. So that's how to navigate SAM.
Do you, we have about 40 minutes. Can you show maybe Ohio Buys or the Ohio checkbook? Just show,
I was gonna do Ohio.
okay, yeah, Ohio Buys or Ohio check, that's great. That would be great.
Ah. Gosh darn it. So here's the Ohio procurement website, procure.ohio.gov. Oh, when you're doing any type of research, or always make sure that you're at a .gov website. If it's a .com, it's not government. Okay, so here is the Ohio Procurement Services. And there's lots of good information on here. Selling to the state. So here is what is currently up for bid in the state of Ohio. It's not a bad website. It's fairly easy to navigate. You can search by keywords, the commodity code, if it's an MBE set aside. And here is, you can even look for if a bid is under evaluation, if it's open for bid, if it's canceled, closed, whatever. So in the first one here, it is an MBE set aside, meaning they will accept quotes only from my minority business enterprise certified companies. You can click on the little pencil icon, and that will bring up the information. And again, you have to make sure that you download and read all of the information. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your local Apex office. If you want to submit a bid, you click on, well, I don't have an Ohio ID. You have to get registered with Ohio ID in order to participate in Ohio procurement opportunities.
And Jane,
Yes.
as you were talking about that, I do believe previous webinar we did on March 5th at 1:00, doing business with the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they did do a quick overview in the website and kind of logging in and what, you can't do right now. So if you go to the March 5th webinar, doing business with the state of Ohio from 1 to 3, click on that link and you should be able to get more in-depth detail about Ohio bonds.
Yeah. If you go to the Ohio University Apex website, all of our training videos are available, and you can search for a particular topic. There's tons and tons and tons of recorded webinars here that you can review.
Yes, and that website, Jane, is for the webinars that the SBA that we do in collaboration with the Ohio Apex Accelerator at Ohio University.
Correct.
We do a government contracting training series. And so all of those videos for the last couple years are housed there. And specifically, and there may be one, there I am. Oh, you know what? I think that was from a couple weeks ago. So I think Sharon is also putting them on there.
Yeah.
Yes, they're in both places. So if you go there, you'll find all of the webinars that we do in reference to our government contracting series that's outside of this. This is for the Ohio Business Matchmaker webinar training series. But outside of that, we do have a monthly series that we do. And then for this series, the Ohio Business Matchmaker webinar series, those webinars are also on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. If you click on the webinar at the top of the page, then you should be able to find the links. What I was referring to for the March 5th webinar at 1. Thank you for bringing that up, because this is tons of great information, especially you're just getting started, tons of great videos that are already out there. I refer a lot of people that call into the office and are looking to get started in government contracting. And depending on what their need is, I'll recommend going there, but tons of a variety of different webinars there. Jane, we do have some additional questions.
Okay.
And Miss Terry, let me save hers for last because it involves the PSC codes. And then maybe you can show that. But let me come back to hers. Brandon wants to know, when it comes to contracts that are over multiple years, would they be paying the agreed amount every year, or that's just the total amount of the contract? So for example, if it's a $200,000 contract over 4 years, is that $50,000 a year? Or would that be $800,000 total for the lifetime of the project? And then I'll ask the second part of that.
Okay. If it's the award information, like for that duct cleaning contract, it was 33,000 or whatever. That's the total award. But when you're preparing your offer, oftentimes for a multi-year contract, you determine an escalation rate. So for the base period, you're going to charge, I don't know, 5,000. For option 1, you're going to charge 6,000, and then etc. for however long the contract is. Does that make sense? Does that answer it?
And while he is typing that, the second part of that, and also out of that number awarded, I'd be using that to pay my staff, operations, and the subcontractors, correct? I'm asking so I'd be able to understand how to correctly build margin into my bids.
Yes, you need to include all of your expenses in your proposal. Your long-term expenses, your short-term expenses, the expenses directly related to the bid, and then your profit on top of that.
Great. Okay, Catherine Conroy wants to know, this has been very helpful in clarifying the sequence of activities to organize my business in a way to be a potential government contractor. That was just just a statement or compliment. Thank you. Let me go back up to, trying to go back up here. Terry. All right, it's time. Can you show how to look up the PSC codes or product service codes? My question relates to the many PSC codes that I think my business fits into. And how can I ensure, I guess, that you have the right one? Can we look at this? I'm using the, psctools.us/search.
Okay, well, this is the website that I use for PSC codes. So
Acquisition.gov?
acquisition.gov.
I didn't, it's been a while since I've been. Oh,
And
wow.
if you click here, scroll down a bit and click on the PSC manual.
I
I like looking at the whole manual.
didn't know you can pull it up from there. Been a
Yeah.
long, wow.
So let's see. The
Is there a search function? Like, can you
there
do
is
Control F?
Control F, yeah.
Control F?
I'm looking for I'm sorry, I hope I'm not making y'all dizzy. the products, here's what I'm looking for.
And
Okay,
she said her
17.
services research, clinical trials, or clinical trials.
Oh, that's what
Her services research, clinical
Okay.
trials, or just clinical trials.
Okay, well, for the product service codes, the service codes are the alpha codes. Products are numeric.
Mm.
And then the R&D codes, those are all in A. So all the other stuff is B through Z, and R&D is all in A. Education, energy, natural resources. I'm not sure.
Let's see, research.
Well, I
Terry said, I fit in what might be 20 codes, all starting with A. Is it important to list all codes on a capability statement, looking at A, N, 12, 23, 11, 22, 212, 13, 42, and so on?
Okay. Okay. No, I'm gonna say no, because I think for your capability, now for SAM, you want to list all of them that are relevant. For your capability statement, rather than listing the codes, I would include more of a statement of the type of research and development that you provide.
Mm.
Does that make sense? That's just my personal opinion. So if we go back to
So list my NAICS codes, but don't list my PSC codes on my capability statement.
I think that the PSC codes, unless you are like a manufacturer, a machine shop, I don't think that they are as relevant. on a capability statement. Okay, does that make sense? I mean, that's my personal opinion. Everybody has, I think on a capability statement, it is more important that the NAICS codes are identified.
Mhm. Unless an agency, I agree, Jane, unless an agency or a procurement or contracting personnel may specifically ask you for them, or a lot of times the capability statement is like a door opener, and sometimes you may be asked to provide a capability briefing.
Yes.
Maybe on the briefing, which the briefing is more in-depth, a more in-depth look or view of the products and services that you offer. You can maybe go a little bit more in depth and at length to the services that you provide and maybe give a description. But I think like what Jane said,
You have limited space on your capability statement, so you want to utilize it to the best, the most important information.
Real quick, because we'll take this and then I think we have one more question. Terry, I'm going to ask, just come off mute real quick. You need to be sure all of your PSC codes are on your sam.gov registration. So if you can come off mute, Terry, to finalize what you're trying to ask or say. Go
Hi,
ahead.
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, this gets confusing. So on sam.gov is where you can put your PSC codes, is what I think I just understood. Don't worry about putting it on your capability statement, which it's not on there right now. I was just concerned because of a comment earlier about them. But anyway, so I don't know that I listed, so I did my sam.gov registration last summer. I don't know that I listed all these product service codes. And so is the reason to have them in there, which I need to go back in and do that right away then, is so that if you match with a specific contract and someone reaches out to you, if those codes aren't in there, you won't match just based on your NAICS code. You know how to list. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, potentially. The contracting officers will utilize SAM and the small business dynamic database to do research. And they can, as part of that research, they can enter NAICS codes, they can enter the PSC codes. You just want to cover all your bases.
Okay, I'll do that. So it's interesting because literally, I think I just sat here while things were going on and wrote down about 20 different PSC codes that I would fit into based on the limited amount of information they give in the system. It's not very much. Like AN 12, 23, I mean, all these AN codes are all I would think, I mean, it's basically the same wording over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, these codes don't go into great descriptions.
Mm-mm.
Some of the other ones give better descriptions.
Yeah, some of them do. And some even say that they fall under a certain NAICS code. But a lot of these don't even say, they say none, none. But yet it's a research and development, what I would think we would be included in, because we're doing clinical trials for research and development.
Right. Yeah, I don't, that's above my pay grade.
Okay. So basically, though, I need to go back in and make sure all these PSC codes that I'm finding are in there in sam.gov. Okay, that helps.
And you want to just double check to make sure that all of the NAICS codes that are applicable are also in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Terry. The next question, we're circling back to Brandon. He had a question about the total contract value.
Uh-huh.
And Brandon, I think I'm going to have you come off because I can't remember the first part of the question, second part. So you said, thank you for answering your question, and you understand the second part, not necessarily you understand the first part.
Okay.
So if you can, the answer you gave, it was the total amount that you would adjust every year over a multiple year, like a 3% increase per year if the contract is decided to be awarded. Brandon, can you come off mute so that we can add a little further clarification to what you need?
So,
what you have?
can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So my question is that when submitting for a multi-year contract or the eligibility for a multi-year contract, I'm just confused about if you ask for like, let's say $100,000, are they breaking it down to $100,000 for the total of like multiple years? Or are they breaking it down to, let's say it's 4 years, that'd be $400,000?
In your proposal, in your proposal, the solicitation will generally identify, you know, what is your pricing for the base year? What is your pricing for option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4?
Okay. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
I think I understand. Like, so if I were to visualize it, it'd be like year 1, this is our base rate with good performance. Let's say you want to renew it. Well, then we would like to pursue like year 2 being like 120 versus year 1 being just 100. But that all
Right.
goes into the solicitation.
Right. And you have
Okay.
to, that is part of your proposal.
And the reason why I was asking is because when looking on sam.gov, every agency does it a little bit different, but I was just trying to really understand, are they asking me, like, for example, I've seen one with lowest solicitation amount available. But at the same time, though, is that just the entry level? And I'm not asking for you to answer this, but that's just the entry level part of it, or is it room for improvement as year goes on that gets factored in totality for when I ask for year 1, option 2, option 3, option 4?
So repeat your question. I'm sorry.
So just so it's kind of understood, I'm in consulting, right? Like that's the service I'm trying to sell. And in that, I've seen some consulting NICS codes. What the agency would offer would be a multi-year contract. But in that
Okay.
multi-year contract, it may specify lowest available amount will be selected, or lowest acceptable amount will be selected. And so within that, I'm trying to understand.
Oh,
Yeah.
it sounds like that is actually one of the evaluation factors. So a bid that if price is an evaluation factor, the lowest acceptable price, it's going to be the overall low price of the bid that they accept.
And just to make sure I understand, that is what would be considered like over the course of 5 years, this is the total amount that we would have written for you guys.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
I'm sorry for my confusion.
No, thank you. It's perfect.
No, thank you, Brandon. And the reason why we have you come off, because instead of going back and forth, it makes it easier to just be able to verbalize and have the conversation, because sometimes it gets lost in translation.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Trying to read your question And then James, and especially if it's a little longer and more in depth, you're like, but having a conversation does help. So
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
There's a lot to be said
a
for
lot to
verbal
be.
communication.
And with that, great questions. And I actually love the demonstration, Jane. Are there
Oh,
any
good.
other questions? We have like 15 minutes, 13 minutes. I think this is at the end, but so glad Jane was able to go over both SAM.gov and Ohio Buys to just give you a good little taste or a good little sample of what each looks like, what you can expect, how to kind of navigate. But again, you always have your Apex Accelerator counselor that can walk with you. You don't have to do it alone. They can help you navigate as you're going through the process. And just as Brandon said, sometimes, even regardless of what phase you're in, you may be a more seasoned contractor. You don't just have to be new, but sometimes you run into a question where it's just like, hey, I don't understand, or I need help, or I need some insight with this. So definitely reaching out to your Apex counselor with whatever it is you may need, whether it's small or whether it's great, or if it's a large question, or if you need assistance with several things. It doesn't really matter. And with that, Edwin Staten says price can be an evaluation factor. That's true.
Yes.
Without the award being made. LPTA, lowest price, low price, technically accepted. Price actually always has to be a factor, not necessarily the highest weighted factor. Great point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it can be pretty far down on the list, depending
Yeah,
on the type
depending
of
on what,
contract. Yeah.
right, and depending on what it is.
Right.
And that's a great thing. So maybe utilizing your Apex counselors is they have tools where you can research the previous awarded contract. So you can get some information about that contract. How much was that contract awarded for? You know, how much should you be putting together your bid for? So again, utilizing your counselors to assist with that research to get you prepared. Any other questions? Oh, USA Spending, great.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that in a while. Here is another website you can use. Again, this is for federal government.
For federal contracts, and you can, there's, again, just like in SAM, there's all kinds of different criteria that you can use to search. So I don't know. Janitorial. I don't know why that came up. Probably because I need to work
Do
on
research for somebody.
Yeah, I need. Okay. Now this is a very, very broad search. So Raytheon, J&J, I mean, it always lists the highest ones first. Boy, a $980 million janitorial contract. Wow. Anyway, but you can click on the contract and get more information about that award. This is for NASA, Cube Corporation down in Virginia Beach, when it was awarded, blah, blah, blah. So there's lots of good information here. Now, obviously, for this to be relevant, you would need to add more criteria to it. But it's fairly straightforward to search in here. Shonda, any other websites you want me to pop into real quick?
I think that's it. I don't know if you have one for GSA subcontracting directory. You mentioned that. I had never.
I did. I I don't know the website off the top of my head,
Okay,
but this is the GSA e-library. A GSA schedule is essentially a pre-approval of a company's product or service and pricing structure. Contracts can be done through GSA, or they can be full and open. This is one path. It is not the only path. It's a contracting vehicle. But it can also be a good research tool. So, I don't know, let's try furniture, flooring. And it's broken down into the various categories of, in this case, flooring. So carpet, let's look at carpet. These are the companies that have a GSA schedule to provide carpet. And the GSA Advantage is like the Amazon.com of the government world. And this is not a good one to look at. Did I click on the same one again? Jeez, oh man. Okay, so here's the different types of carpet, and here's their pricing. So if you were a carpeting, a flooring distributor or contractor, you can see what they're charging. And, you know, this might help you with determining if your pricing is in the ballpark or not. Let me find the, okay. So here is the GSA subcontracting. So these are the companies that are looking for subcontractors. There is so much out here that you can locate, or that so much information is out here. There are procurement forecasts. This is no, that's not the one I want to go to. Back to the acquisition.gov, one of the pieces of information here is the procurement forecast. You can select your whatever agency, and you can get an idea of what is coming up in the future. These are generally going to be larger purchases, but it'll give you just a very, very limited idea of what they're looking for. But the really cool thing is estimated value, how long the contract is, if security clearance is required, how they're going to make the purchase, who the incumbent contractor is. That's good info. And let's see, place of performance. Usually, I'm probably just missing it, but generally the buyer's contact information will be in here. And you can contact the buyer. You can send the contracting officer your information, your capability statement. It can't hurt. There is so much information out there. And just make sure that you're at a government website. That's the most important thing. Okay. Any other questions, Shonda?
I don't see any other questions in the chat. So with that, Jane, thank you so much. This was wonderful. Just a wealth of information. I do love the demos. I always learn something myself, especially since I don't use some of these. I used to use them more often, but now what I do, I don't. So it's always great. So thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Yes.
I was hoping I'd be able to get to some of these websites. You know, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely. And I think with that, it allows individuals to ask, you know, their individual questions that they may have. So again, thank you so much. And for those of you that joined us today and stayed, thank you for joining us. And again, today's webinar, the recording will be posted to the Ohio Business Matchmaker website and the Ohio University Apex Accelerator at Ohio University. And so you can find both the recording link and the slides. It should take about 48 hours to get those posted. So thank you for joining. There will be another webinar this afternoon. This afternoon, we from 1 to 3, doing business with the Ohio National Guard and doing business with NASA, NASA Glenn up in Cleveland. So
I just got an applause emoji.
you deserve. Wonderful, wonderful. So this afternoon, again, from 1 to 3, there's another webinar you can join. Check out the rest of our webinar series. Log on to ohiobusinessmatchmaker.com. Up at the top, the webinar links. We will be hosting webinars all the way up into the Matchmaker. I think our last webinar is April 16th. And then on the actual first day of the Matchmaker, April 23rd, it's a half day of training. So we'll have 2 panel discussions. And then we will have a networking reception. And then on the 24th, a full day of matchmaking. We'll start off the beginning of the day having lots of wonderful welcomes from various different individuals, state, federal, and our partners that will come to address you and to get our day started, and then a full day of matchmaking. So definitely, if you haven't registered, I don't know, Joey, do you know when the early registration ends? The early registration, there is a cutoff.
Yep, early bird registration ended this past Friday, but registration is still open. I can get a date on the following webinar for those that have not registered. Registration is still open, but early bird rate is closed.
Thank you. Early bird is closed, but still come out. We'll also have some exhibitors and also some resources. Apex Accelerator will be there. SBA will be there. I believe our SBDCs are MBACs. So we'll have tables. You can definitely talk to us. Lenders Row. One of the things I love, if you go to the Matchmaker website, you can see what agencies have already registered, and they have them broken down by federal agencies, state and local agencies. The primes will be there. The primes will be listed, and I believe the lenders will be listed. So they do keep that updated. Go ahead and check that out. And we hope to see you at the Matchmaker April 23rd, 24th in Dayton at Wright State and Nutter Center. And again, we do appreciate you joining us for today. And that's it. I know it's a beautiful day down here in Columbus. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you again, Jane and Joey. It's always a privilege to work with you guys. on these webinars and anything we do to assist small businesses. Everybody have a great day, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be at the
All right.
Matchmakers. See you then.
I will too. See you then. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.